They're not going to like what you have to say when what you have to say contradicts the fantasy of the delusion that they've been living in for the last year. And do you want to know what irks a lot of people right now who are coming to the realization that despite how people take what they have to say, if it's their truth, it still needs to be spoken right now? You want to know what seems to be irking those people right now? Is that their shadow is right all along. That shadow of yours, that hidden part of you, saw what was up a long time ago. Saw the players in the game, saw the same situations, different faces, the cycles within cycles being repeated, the lessons not being learned. But there's a part of you that just didn't want to see it, and that was your cycle. That was your battle. That was your inner war. And they're just talking about how you ignored your shadow for the last year because your shadow is speaking the truth. It brought the light with it, and it was just hard to stomach. So make no mistake, in this year when we're in the middle of reviewing the last year, also flipping the script on a lot of choices, a lot of people are asking themselves and standing up for themselves right now as, do I want to be here? Do I want to be doing this? Do I believe in where I'm sitting right now? Does this feel right? And that can be taken on a lot of different aspects. That's just not physical location. That's energy. That's philosophies. That's mindsets. That's a lot of different things. And there's just, I just keep tapping into this weird energy, dude. It's like somebody just sitting there and being like, okay. And it's like almost giving himself a pep talk is the way that it kind of sounds. Like, what more do we need to see? Like, what more do you need to see? How many cycles do you need to see repeated? How many promises do you need to have broken? How many prophecies do you not need to have to come true? How many times does words not need to match actions? How many times does promises of actions not need to be held and not need to come together? And it's just this piece of sitting with yourself that it's mustering up a lot. And there's this card out here that I call my unfazed card, and it just is really lending me to the fact that you tried so hard to stay in your bubble. And that's the way that I want to say it, is somebody in here has been right currently now going through an awakening that is, I'm going to call it a true hermit mode, because you're starting to take responsibility. You're starting to see you, but like see you how the universe sees you. Like see you for your soul and what you actually are. And there's a part of returning to self that had to happen for you to get here. And yeah, you drifted. Yeah, the last year hasn't been perfect. And you drifted away and you got stuck, and the devil card just came out. You got stuck in your own way, facing and battling yourself. And there's this part of this unstructured masculine energy here, this kind of unstable, a little bit, I don't know, a little bit proud, a little bit boisterous energy. You may have been caught in your ego at one point or another, and there's just this part of you that has tried to kind of stay in your bubble thus far and still tried to stay centered and tried to pretend like things didn't bother you and let it roll off your shoulder, and you didn't mind taking the blame, is the way they're saying. Like, you didn't mind taking the blame if you were keeping the peace, and we just don't want to ruffle too many feathers. But they're kind of saying, like, part of this actual hermit mode, part of this inner power, part of this coming to terms with this balancing out of your shadow, and the fact that you're realizing that your shadow brought a lot of light with it, a lot of illumination of truth, a lot of insight, a lot of wisdom. Like this owl and this crow are being paired to me with like wisdom, but like divine, like brought to you by your guides, brought to you by source, by the universe, by God, like whatever your label. And there's just this part of the King of Cups, the King of Cups. There's just this part of this that it literally makes me feel like you're finding your passion again. You're finding who your soul is again. And it's almost like you're kind of a little bit shook. I'm not going to lie. You're a little bit shook at how you got where you were. And you're wondering who the hell was the devil pulling the strings. That's the way that I want to see this. Like, who is the devil pulling the strings? But you got to see the strings aren't taut. The devil's not making you move. You doing it to you. Even though you tethered, you doing it to you. And there's just that part that you had to come to terms with, that it wasn't somebody controlling you. It wasn't necessarily somebody manipulating you. It was your allowance of those things, and your I don't want to use the word complacency, but it's like you were accepting that. I'm definitely going to use the word accepting. You were accepting that as fact. And there's just a part of that that's coming to an end, because we're ushering out of your unstable era. We're ushering back into your power, back into what I'm going to call your throne. We got this King of Wands energy out here, and it's out as a bridge, and it just makes me feel like this is the coming together of energies within inside you. Look at the rainbow. Like, you are putting things together, and they're just talking about how this has ushered more truth for you and clarity than ever. And it's time you speak it. It's time you see it, hear it, feel it, speak it, and act on it. There's a large part of the masculine collective that is realizing their rise right now. It's not that they've never risen. There's a sub part of the collective that is realizing their rise right now. So just remember, you had to go in the darkness to get your light. So when you bring your light to somebody who's still in the darkness, they're not going to like it. They're just not. But that's okay, because you're not doing it for them. You're doing it for you. 7:07 on the clock. You're doing it for you. This is your cycle to break. And this is your chapter. It's not fucking about anybody else. And that's the harsh truth. You spent your whole life making it about everybody but you. It's your turn now. It's about you now. Bye, guys.